All right, this week I want to talk about self-blame in chronic pain and the fact that we can often get into a place where when pain keeps showing up in the body, we start to blame ourselves for the mindset that may be leading to a persistence of chronic pain, or start to believe that there are things that we are doing in our lifestyle that are contributing to the chronic pain. Most likely, this is not the case. Obviously, everyone's situation is different. This is not medical advice. But just looking at the research and in today's newsletter, we talk about this, what they've witnessed in brain scans now that we can do functional MRIs to see where the brain is activating in certain processes. They've basically shown that the brain changes quite a bit when the body's experiencing chronic pain. Um, there's certain parts of the brain that get stimulated as a result of hypervigilance, and that's where the hypervigilance actually affects the pain. They've noticed reduced volume of gray matter in in whiplash patients with chronic pain. They've also seen activation of the limbic system um, when we're talking about kind of fear avoidance of pain. So there's just tons of research out there that basically says your brain fundamentally changes as a result of acute pain that starts to transition into chronic. And in our previous discussion about when chronic pain becomes a mood, they also were looking at the way that your kind of emotional processing parts of the brain start to get involved when chronic pain or when pain starts to become persistent. So it's no longer sort of a reaction to just a mechanical sensory part of your nervous system, but it's actually an expectation and a fear. And we start to just believe that pain is kind of who we are. It becomes like a mindset. So you're fighting survival instincts. You're fighting thousands of years of evolution. You're fighting a process that is fundamentally in our bodies to protect us from threats to our survival. And that's why it feels so hard to dig yourself out of a hole um, of chronic pain because it's not just something that's in your tissues. Once your tissues have healed, it's a shift in the way that your brain. It's like, okay, I've learned something about my environment. I've learned that my environment is dangerous in these new ways, and so now I'm going to have this hyper alert uh, reaction to protect my host from having any more of these experiences. Um, so you're working upstream, and it is hard, and I know that it feels sometimes like you're never going to get out of this place, and like it's a permanent place. And the research, all the articles that I included this week, all show that interventions of some kind, often a combination of exercise and pain neuroscience education, like just understanding the processes, can help you sort of pick apart reactions to things that may actually be driven by a survival instinct and not from a rational or logical thought. So it can be improved. Your brain is so adaptable. I mean, that's the really message of hope and all of these things that I hope that you're always getting, which is that this is not does not need to be a permanent state. Obviously, there are some conditions where your likelihood for pain symptoms is higher, um, and so you might have to work a little harder. But once if when we're talking about situations of avoiding something because of a fear of pain or hypervigilance or catastrophizing. And as someone myself who suffers with anxiety, like there's so much overlap in the kind of brain patterns associated with, um, you know, fear within an anxiety context of just the world being unsafe, as a result of trauma or just imprints of bad experiences, and kind of how the body responds to a pain experience. I mean, I think it's only logical that those two can sort of mutually reinforce each other. So cut yourself some slack. You didn't make this. You are not actively sabotaging yourself. Your brain is doing what it's supposed to do, which is prevent you from things that are, potentially going to be life-threatening. So we're going to educate ourselves. We're going to keep doing that, and we're going to remind ourselves that the brain can change up until the very end of life. So that's your moment of motivation for this Monday. Talk to you soon.